What do we got? Bucket fills, what's good? Nothing?
I spent all weekend camping in Elk River in the dirt. I was only allowed one like cloth per night because that's all we had. So that was fun.
If Jake Lures was here, I could make fun of all of the things.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, the fact that you just said camping in Elk River would be something I would say. And then I would, talk about how I needed a passport.
Well, we were
to
at
get
a
out there.
racetrack. We were at a racetrack. We were at a racetrack. We were smack dab in between like 4 RVs that cost like $800,000. So our neighbors were fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were in
Nice.
tents.
They wouldn't let you shower in their 20.
Was it the Earth Roamer? Because the Earth Roamer is amazing. It's like a sprinter van on all of the things. So cool, super cool. What else? What else is good? John will appreciate this. I was sharing with the people group that it was 18 years ago in August that I moved my stuff from college up to Minnesota. And this last weekend, I went and toured the campus and looked at all of my old places that I lived with my 17-year-old daughter, which was a little bit like, okay. So I guess I do things in 18. Like I'm an adult at 18. I now have 18 years with a child. I'm like, I don't know what the next 18 years are going to bring, but
Not sure you qualify as an adult.
I don't know if I do either, actually. I'm like, that's a valid point. That's a very valid point when you meet Reese.
When you got one kid that's called Mad Dog.
Yep, she's here today. Mad Dog's here today. So that was fun and crazy all at the same time. And yes, I still say go Badgers, even though I live here. Just saying. I know. I can't be perfect. Okay, Derek.
Right.
Right. All right, what else? 2 more things. There's gotta be some good things going on.
Oh, Candy's bucket. Doing an awesome job. Grateful that you made the process.
They're great people.
They are great people. Both, all 3 of them. Like them and
Oh, yeah, I'll bucket fill candy also yesterday. Okay, I've been to the smart plan class like a bunch of times, but sometimes you need to go again just to pick up another thing, and it was really good. So yeah.
That's so true though. Like, especially with anything because everything changes in smart plan so much. And I do know that there's people sitting in this room that don't have one smart plan up for their database. And if you missed that class, it is recorded. Is that correct? And I think we have some other things coming up next month as well. So whenever you look at those and you're like, oh, I think I got this, you probably don't. Like, just fair. All right, moving on. July training calendar. So we do have our R&R today, which is at Cove, I believe. Is that correct? Starting at 4 o'clock, 4 to 6. And, again, it's, a lot of people ask, oh, what is it? There are a lot of really cool conversations that come out of those, whether or not it's about personal life, whether or not it's about what's going on in the market, new agents, agents that have been here for a while. The connection piece is awesome at those. So 4 to 6 at Cove in Wayzata today. And then tomorrow we have Authentisign templates with Kelly. This is a really good one because I have this question asked often, right? So if you haven't done listings a lot or you haven't done buyers stuff a lot or things that have been changed, this is a cool one to go through just because it'll kind of teach you everything you don't know and little tips and tricks. So that's tomorrow. Is that also, it is on Zoom, correct? So if you aren't able to, all right. We have our lead gen that is still going on every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. It's getting a little drier in regards to participation. So let's just make sure that you remember we meet at 9:45 and going over some of the conversations that you can have on the phone as well as handling the objections is really important. Then next week we have our block party again. We have title and risk management. This one I hope that people have signed up for because when we went through risk management in team meeting, when it came to title, there were a lot of faces out there that were like, I don't really know, right? And that's okay. And that's why we're having them come, just to teach you enough that you can have conversations with your client. You're not going to be doing the title work, right? But you do need to know some of the risk that happens with the title work, as well as being able to have those conversations. And then on the 30th, we have white glove communication. Again, it's going to go over what some of the conversations are going to look like on buy side and listing side. Any questions around our training calendar? Awesome. And then save the date. I know it's super early, but we're just really excited and we want to make sure.
That was the third week that we've had.
Right, right. Like Derek is excited. And save the date for December 5th. It's at 6 p.m. and it is out at Birch's again, which it's been really fun when we've had it out there. So put it on your calendar because I don't want anyone coming to me in November and being like, oh, something's already there. I guarantee it's not. I guarantee nobody else is doing holiday parties yet. So now Derek's already committed. So there's that. You do have a +1 to that. And then we have, I always say light appetizers. It actually is pretty heavy appetizers, quite honestly, in the past. But again, I just want to say, I don't know what light and heavy means to people. So, I mean, some people, it's not like, I mean, it feels like a full meal of
It's a meal.
appetizers.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
appetizers.
Yeah, like it feels like a full meal of appetizers.
Lots of little different options.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. All right, this is probably gonna be about the last time that we talk about Mega Camp, only because the room block actually closes on Friday. And just in regards to planning, obviously it is about 22 days out, I believe. So it is the 12th through the 15th. We have a really, really cool group of people going down there. I am in the midst right now of getting reservations for dinners. If this is something you're still interested in going to, please, please, please let us know. I highly recommend it, whether or not you're a new agent, you've been in the business for a while, you're going to learn something either way. There's going to be a lot of cool things in regards to what's going on with the real estate commissions that I know Gary will talk about, as well as where economically we're sitting in the real estate market and trends. Anybody have questions around Mega Camp? People are going from our office. Currently, there are 8. So it's the ALC, and then we have Alex and Ben, Jacob Milton, myself, Candy, John Butler, currently going. So a nice group of people. It's fun. I don't know if anybody that's been there wants. You guys want to talk about it a little bit? Don't stay with Kevin, or otherwise ask him where he's staying, so that if you're sharing a room, you know it's a hotel or a
Does have a room to
hostel.
share.
Like, just but honestly, every time I've ever went to Mega Camp as an agent, I have always shared a room. And actually, Candy's sharing a room with me this year.
And last year.
And last year. And we had a great time. Because it does cut costs. And you're not in your room often. Honestly, it's there to sleep, get up in the morning, and then you're in a conference all day. And then we're usually networking or going to dinner in the evening. Do you want to say anything about Mega Camp?
Sure. Mega Camp has always been like a good blast of energy for me. And I feel like it's a nice way to just get myself kind of charged up mentally.
Yeah.
Always.
But, I mean, and if you haven't ever been, when it says, I mean, it started out, I think, as you had to have a specific production level to even be invited to it. And then they opened it up. However, now the people that are speaking at Mega Camp actually have a specific invite to be able to be on that stage. They have to show Gary Keller their profit and loss. And it's every type of human being that you can think about. Ones that do open houses, ones that are just, all online lead generation, events. And it's very specific. Like the person that's doing events is not talking about open houses. They do events and that's their thing. And that's like 90% of their business or referrals usually. And then there's huge teams too, but there's also individual agents. So it touches on everything that has to do with building your business.
Yes.
I think if you're at a ceiling and you're going, what's next? It makes sense to go to Mega Camp. I think if you're at a spot where you're going, I need some motivation to get going again, I think it makes sense to go to Mega Camp. I think if you're at a spot where you go, but I'm ready to work. If you're at a spot where you're going, I think I'm just fine. I don't know if it's a place for you to be but if you're in a spot where you're going, I'm ready for something, whether it's information or a new referrals partner or just a motivation, energy, I need to connect with people that I'm now gonna mastermind with, then it's great for all of those things. And it's a lot of
Can
fun.
I challenge the person that's at the, I'm fine, in regards to ask yourself why you're saying, I'm fine, right? Because that means you're probably not growing in most capacities.
Tell the girl staying in.
So once you sign up for Mega Camp, so you get the ticket, right? And then there's actually room blocks that have discounted price points.
Was it
Um,
$7.99 for the week or how did that?
It's for the whole, it's for Mega Camp. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is essentially the time frame and the scheduling of it, and that includes everything during that time frame. So you can go, I was to say, there's a large hall, right, that Gary does his speech in. I don't know if there's breakouts this year at all. I think it's all in the big hall, both days, or all 3 days. And then there's also like different spots, that has vendors, and when I mean different spots, it's an entire convention center. So it's a wide open spot of vendors. Then there's command there that you can go and you can talk to someone specific that does command and say, hey, I need to get all of this stuff set up, so you can make appointments for that. What else is there? I mean, there's
I'll be
everything.
there.
You'll be there.
Yeah.
There's a ton of things. And so in regards to just getting information, it's the best place to go. Like, if there's something you're having a challenge on, I highly recommend going.
I think a lot of times the best time is when you go to lunch or something, try to network with other
Yep.
people. I mean, it's just.
Yep.
That's what I'm signing referral agreements now. There's some people that are making a ton of money in referrals, and that started with going to Mega Camp and connecting. And someone, I don't know who said it, but it's a good idea of when you're going to lunch, rather than going with everyone from TW Lake Minnetonka, go to lunch with people you don't know yet, and have that make that connection of, hey, I want to do business with someone that's in that area.
Well, and if you're going and you're like, I don't know who to connect with, let me know. If you're like, hey, I'm a new agent and I want to specifically meet with someone in this field, right? We have the ability to reach out to other team leaders, right? And say, hey, who do you have that's going, that's been in the business 3 years or less and is just crushing this, right? They will be there. And we can set up a time, whether or not it's coffee, lunch, whatever it is, to meet with them. That's what I used to do when I was an agent. Is just meet with other people. And I mean, to this day, I see them now and they're like, oh, hey, what are you doing now? Like, we've known each other for 10 years, by meeting at that specific convention. Here. Anything else? Any other questions? Again, if you change your mind and you want to go with, let me know so we can add you to whatever fun dinner plans and whatnot we have.
I'd say too, it's not about like doing everything. It's about people who are really doing it big, doing whatever it is they do, whether it's open houses or online lead generation or command or like events, like all of those different things. It's people who are doing those things at the highest level.
Well, and the other cool thing about that is you take their name down when they're up on stage and you email them, they will respond. If you're like, hey, I didn't catch all that, or can you send me the actual sign-in sheet or what what it looks like going up to the open house, they will send it to you. Like, that's now a connection base that you have with them. They have zero problem doing that. I mean, it's just a matter of reaching out and then saying, okay, let's connect. And then you're invited to different events with them as well. I mean, I think of Katie Bean and Tom Vance. I mean, her entire business is referral business from across the country. I mean, and they go to parties down at Mega Camp now that is an entire network of just referrals around the world now. Like, it's crazy. Don't you think about 50% of their business is actual referrals from other agents?
I think I was with her just the other day and I think it's even a little more than that.
I'm like, and she's built that up going to going to every family reunion, going to every Mega Camp for probably 8 years, 10 years. It's crazy. All right, so we have some new people. I don't know if any of them are in the room right now. Danny, Jason, and Missy. So when you see them, stop by, introduce yourself, because everyone was new once, and you know it's overwhelming when you have a ton of new faces. And help them out. Yeah.
Danny's on Bethany's team, right?
Yep,
Or,
yes,
yes,
yep.
okay, cool. She's been in here a lot, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and congratulations to Julie. For her first listing. Is it under contract? Not yet. All right, and then congratulations to the cappers. We've got Ben and Alex and Tam and Alex and Bethany. All right, so we are going over June numbers. So if you've never been a part of the numbers meeting, it's the month prior to, again, we are human, so if there's ever any mistakes, let us know. Normally this is last week. However, we've got some delays right now just because of the new reporting and the new systems. So yes, it's usually the second week of the month. However, that's delayed a little bit right now. So just bear with us on that piece at an international level. All right, so listings can't really see that one now that I'm getting older and I'm in my 40s. So I'm gonna look at this one. So listings taken, we've got Colleen Schultz with one. I mean, I feel like we are like just strategically going down in that middle part. It's really fun to see this many individuals though taking listings. So awesome. Closed volume in June, we have Jacob Milton with. API, we have number one spot with Jacob Milton. All right, so top individual teams listing taken. We got Strobel Group with 4. Closed volume, we have the Jose Hilario team with 4. How many did you guys have last month? 13? Yeah, I think that was. Is it the biggest month volume wise? Close?
Probably,
Yeah, awesome. I just want you to know I made a bet with Jose, that if he gets to 15 closings a month, or I get to 2 months with 10 recruits, we have to buy the other one's entire family a dinner and a place of their choice. So if you ever want to make a bet with me, I am all in.
Oh.
So he's really trying to make me buy his family dinner. So we're a little competition. Closed GCI, I got Jose Hilario. All right, listings taken for top teams. We have MSP Sales Leasing Manager.
That's important.
Listing closed, volume has more real estate team with. Closed GCI, we have the Mo Real Estate team with number 1 spot, followed by. All right, top groups, listings taken, we have Dessert Property Twins with 10. I'd like to see these listings popping up.
Yeah.
This is nice. Listings taken volume. We've got Homer's Group with 9.
You know, I had that in the paper today, that listings were a little more prevalent.
Yeah, and I was actually just like looking in different areas. I was on an appointment yesterday and they were saying that the listings weren't selling necessarily. And I'm like, there are a lot of, I mean, what are we seeing with that? Are we seeing a lot more active listings for longer periods of time? I'm like, it's crazy how you're kind of seeing that happening. We'll talk about that when we talk about the other numbers. All right, closed volume, Homer's Group was 16 million, best for now. Wow. I think last month we had a team with 12 million. This month we have a team with 16 million. And the lowest on the closed volume for groups right now is 3.4. That's crazy. Those are amazing numbers, you guys. Closed GCI, we've got the Homer's Group at the #1 spot. Commercial, listings taken, we have Stedman KDB commercial with 3. The #1 spot for GCI, and then it's nice to see residential and commercial taking listings though right now, because if you keep track of where commercial is going and what's happening with that, it actually tells you a little bit more about the residential side too. I talked to some commercial people and there's different areas that are having a little harder time right now than others, especially leasing out some of the large spaces. So always worth kind of getting in contact with your KDB commercial agents as well to see where things are lying with that. All right, so we are all positive again, which is really fun. Obviously, some of the other numbers are positive as well, but still, closed units is negative. We're at 18, outpacing 18.25. The MLS is down by 3.4, and the area is down by 1.9, almost 2. Closed volume, we're at 15.28. MLS is still down 0.73, and the area is up 4.9. Listings taken. I mean, I think you guys saw we're taking more listings, so we're up at 27% or 27.9. MLS is up 3.9. Our area is up 6%. Listings taking volume, we are up 39. MLS is up 9, and the area is 17. I mean, what do you see when you see that? When you see listings taken and then you see listings taken volume? What do you take from those two numbers? Oh, for all of them, for our area, for our market center, for the MLS. Ah. I love when Colleen's here in the comment.
I love it.
I mean, one or two things, right? Either we're taking higher price listings, #1, or the average sales price is going up, right? And there's more and more listings that are in a higher price point, which gives you opportunity there, right? #1, if that's the case, Are there different markets of the area that are not getting listings right now? Is there a subset where it's lacking in price point wise, right? If we're taking all 1.3 and there's nothing in the 5 to 7, what's going on there, right? And what do the buyers look like? So when you're looking at these numbers, it's not just like, oh, yay, I'm looking at the numbers. They actually tell a story and give opportunity. Do you guys see that piece of it? Candy?
I'll just share that when I was doing the numbers too and going through them, we saw that like our percentages are a little bit lower than last month even, and we're still just really outpacing the market. So that's interesting.
And I think you can see that too, because some of the numbers were lower in our June numbers, right? Which is showing this versus where we were at in May. Two things with that, right? It could be the market, but it could also be the bad thing where we get really busy and then we forget to lead generate, right? We talk about that often. It's a common theme, and if we don't reset at some point, right? Even on the lead gen portion, when we're doing it in the mornings, people are coming in and they're all excited and it's like, oh, I'm busy. I'm gonna have you ask yourself, what does I'm busy mean? Right? Is it busy with summer? Which is real, right? That's real, but you're gonna feel that in 3 months. Is it busy with transactions? Because is it an opportunity to leverage that piece so that you can still lead generate? Or is it I don't want to? Right? Because I think there's a piece of that, right? Where you just don't want to lead generate. It's not people's favorite. There's rare occasions where people are like, oh, I cannot wait to lead generate, right? Like, and usually that's because it's a group of people doing it together and it's really exciting. That's what's exciting about it. We have a good time in the morning, don't we, Eric? Oh, yeah, we do. I do. Jack does. Chris does. Yeah, it's fun.
You know,
So-
the other thing you wanna think about, the MLS numbers, our numbers are in there. So you pull our numbers out, every one of those are worse than they are up there. So,
Same thing with our area, right? Our numbers are also in there, that we're lifting those numbers up. So don't just look at these numbers sometimes as like, they're a huge place to celebrate. Don't get me wrong, right? Let's actually think about what they mean though. And where's an opportunity for you as a business owner to say, okay, this is awesome. And what can I capitalize on? All right, listings sold. We're up to 26.2. The MLS is down 3.4. The area is down 1.9. Listings sold volume, we're up 26.1. MLS is down by 0.73, which is interesting because the totals and the listings sold volume is the same. And then our area is up 4.93. So both of those are exactly the same. Interesting. Contracts written, we are up 31.75. This is my favorite number every single month. It's my favorite number because it's allowing us to know where we're gonna be, right? So you have different types of numbers. And this is gonna say that the next few months, maybe it's even further than that, there's gonna be a positive outcome from being up by 31.75. The MLS is up 1.6, and the area is up 1. Contracts written volume, we're up 41.9%. MLS is up 6.1, and the area is up 7.6. What do you guys take from all of this? These are exciting numbers.
Yeah.
Like, are you guys excited? Are we just like exhausted because they're so amazing? Like, talk to me a little bit.
I'm saying, like, look at some of those numbers. We are 6 times our area in written volume. We're 30 times our area in contracts written. We are 5 times listings volume sold. I mean, it's not just we are a percentage point above. We are 5x, 6x. That's hundreds of percent over. And it says a lot about mindset and work.
I I think that sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? But in this case, I meet with a ton of agents that are not in our brokerage. And this is not the atmosphere that they have. Like, it's not, right? And they're just grasping at like, what can we do? And I know sometimes there's questions of like, I feel lost or I don't know what to do. You're still light years ahead of other agents that are not here and in this environment, right? Because at any point in time, you can go talk to any of the people that were on this board or not on this board and say, hey, I need help. Can I just come shadow you? Maybe it won't be instant, maybe it won't be that day, but I can guarantee within a week's time period, they will find an opportunity for you to either go on a listing appointment, a buyer appointment, or sit down and help you with whatever it was that you needed help with. And we don't do this alone. None of the people that are even just crushing it, they didn't do any of this alone. And they still don't, right? I mean, I think that's what's cool about what we hear a lot in the bucket fills is, hey, we're both top producing agents, but I still need help from another top producing agent. And you'll hear, hey, I got a new idea from someone that's brand new to the industry, because sometimes the whole saying you can't teach, old dog new tricks is not necessarily true, especially in an industry like this. Because if you're not changing your mindset, you're not learning from every single person in it, you're gonna fall behind. Truly, you will. Anything else from this?
I'm just excited to see the numbers that are still like staying consistently up during like the summer months.
Yeah.
Like, cause people do get busy during the summer. People are taking trips up to their cabin, going out of town, out of the country.
First of all, that's when you're gonna get the busiest.
That is.
I swear, every time I ever go on vacation, it's like, everybody's like, we just talked about this. Like, I absolutely support vacation.
Yep.
Do it, always.
Jeff and I were in Puerto Vallarta when that $3.4 million deal, that had been in the market for 7 months. We got on vacation in Puerto Vallarta. While we're there, not only do we get an offer, get it back up.
I mean, like, don't break the bank for vacation, I'm not saying that, but like, don't hold yourself back. You don't have to go to Puerto Vallarta, we could just go to Duluth. You know, or wherever.
You go on Saturday, you get 2 offers. Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay, well, there it is.
But,
See, it's an easy win, easy
The way
win.
it works is you take listings and then you go on.
That's true.
Okay, all right, I got it.
How do you use these numbers in the listing appointment?
In regards to,
So we know this, what value does this bring us as agents in the office?
I don't go on many listing appointments, right? But I do know when I did go on listing appointments, there are people, right, clients that will say, yeah, however, such and such company is number 1 in the area, right? You guys ever get that?
I see a lot of their signs.
I see a lot of their signs. They've got a lot of market share. You know what? That is awesome, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Can I just share with you where we're outpacing the MLS and our area as an office? Do you think if a seller saw these numbers, they would be like, whoa, I don't care if the like an analytical type or not. I think you show these numbers and you're like, that's crazy, right? That shuts that objection down immediately.
So in these numbers, if I'm in that confidence circle, we have area. But is it possible that, just say one of the other brokerages could do this exact same thing and have that first category of theirs also be skewed way less?
Absolutely. And that's just explaining the data, right? Like, I mean, ours is a larger span because we work in more areas than just Wayzata or Minnetonka.
I know, but I mean, like the Coldwell Banker in Wayzata
Yeah.
office, but could they say, well, gee whiz,
Yeah.
our category looks even better than yours.
Absolutely.
In the area.
Absolutely. And it could be something that we could pull that number. If you have a very specific listing that you're like, this is a listing I know I'm gonna need just for Wayzata because that could happen. Come in and let us find that number for you for our office, right? And then say, hey, this is our area, but this is where we're at just in Wayzata.
We get all
Right?
of this from Broker Metrics.
Yes, we can pull that
Broker
number
Metrics
for
just
you very
sends
easily.
this to us.
And again, you could use it in those listings if you would like to. And I mean, I would do that either way if it's a specific listing like that and you think that that might come up, right? Or it's like, hey, we know that Wayzata is a different animal than Minnetonka or whatever it is. Have both of them. Be ready to use, you don't have to use them. It could just be in your folder and be like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. Bam, right? If they don't ask, don't use it.
One of the things I love to say when they say, oh, we see a lot of these signs, I go, isn't that crazy how long a sign can sit on the market? See it? Ours come off really quickly.
Also a great one. That was awesome. Hey, also a great one.
Clever boy.
I love that. Is there any other ways that you would use it in listening
No, I
appointments?
like it. I like that. Sometimes I think we get like our numbers as a whole and then we go, well, what do I do with that? And I think that's where a listening appointment, especially numbers like that, where they're just crushing. It's just, hey, let me show you this stuff.
I think for a new agent, right, too, they're like, I don't have numbers of my own. Right? These are your numbers. And if they're like, well, how much of this do you sell? You know what? That's what's awesome is you're hiring me to sell your home. And this right here is our office that sells in this area. And we're going to find you a buyer. And that might happen before it even hits the market. Right? Done. They're not going to ask any questions about that.
I think we could use the numbers to create a sense of urgency with people, specifically in our area too. Because if you look at the listing taken volume in the MLS, it's up 9%. The listings sold volume is down what, a little less than 1%. The listings sold is down 3.5%. If I'm meeting with people in our area, where you can see our area has outpaced the MLS as a whole, you might read that to mean that the rest of the market has already taken that cool down that you hear about maybe nationwide, even as far as real estate sold, yet our area hasn't been impacted by that yet. So it might be time to
Yeah.
get after it before anything else does change, because we are seeing inventory grow.
Yeah, and you know, obviously with listings taken versus listings sold, right? There's a lag on that. But even if you took those numbers from the month before, where it was listings taken, I don't know where we were at last month, or the MLS was at last month, right? But you go into sold, and if the listings were higher than that, only, you know, and they're down percentages wise, you can actually talk about that, right? Like, most of our listings sold, like, look at our percentages, right? This is how that works. Versus, hey, we're taking them and not selling them. So there's so many ways that you can use this. Go into this chart, right? And just be like, if math was not your strong suit, I would love to sit down and just brainstorm, because I love talking about numbers. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do on how you could utilize this in different ways to show where our market center's at. And we can do it with your own numbers. If you track your numbers well enough, you can do this with your own data as a team or as an individual. That's what's amazing about tracking.
I think if I were gonna pull this whole thing out, I would make sure that I know how to do one in there very well.
Yep.
Because,
Might be.
well, I don't know, you gotta figure that out, like, whatever you want it to be. But if I pulled that out and somebody asked me about the top left corner that I haven't prepared for, I would try to make sure I have a way to redirect them to what I do want them to see.
Well, that's
Or
interesting.
what I have to talk about, because
From a
anytime
listing
you pull up a
appointment?
bunch of numbers, they can just.
Well, I mean, honestly, if you're asking what numbers, if you're going on a listing appointment, I would be focusing on the listings taken portion as well as the listings sold portion, right? It's showing what we're taking, what we're selling, and we are crushing everybody else on that. That's what they want. That's what they want to know when you're taking a listing. Can you sell it for me? Right? And how many of them are you doing? All right. So this is just kind of the year over year comparison for our market center. So if we take a look at where we were at last June to this June. So closed units, we're at 109. So we outpaced by one closed unit. Way to go, guys. we're a little bit behind on closed volume. We were 60.8 versus 61.8. So price point wise, something gonna happen with that. Listings taken, we are actually at 67 versus 77
Wow.
last year. Did we do that? We had a listing contest last year in June. We're gonna have another one of those in the fall, but I just want to raise the point that whenever we have a listing contest, I don't care who it is, they find a listing that month. Like, they find a listing and you wanna know, it's either usually for a boat crew, like a boat ride, right? And they wanna be on the boat ride. Can I just say one thing? Most of the time, that listing that you would take as that individual, you could do a boat ride by yourself and have money left over, right? So the incentives that we use as human beings are really funny, actually. I do the same thing. It's like, oh, I want to win the gift card. But when I get the listing, I could have bought the gift card, right? But I just didn't do it on my own. I mean, because like last year we had 10 more listings taken and we're still doing great. Listings taken volume, we were at 40.3 versus 41.3. Listings sold, we actually sold more listings at 54 versus 42. Listings sold volume, we crushed that one at 33.2 versus 23.2. Contracts written, we're actually behind versus last year at 75 versus 118. Contracts written volume, were 45 versus 67. And then closed GCI, we are at 1.7 versus 1.4.
Another all-time record.
So it's the last 3 months, we've legitimately beat our GCI as an all-time record for this market center. It was like 1.608, and then we were at like 1.65, and now we have hit 1.7.
Oh, interesting. So closed volume 60 million versus 61 million. Is that the closed GCI go along with this number?
Yeah,
Closed volume, 60 million, so 1.7 on 60 versus 1.45 on 60. Interesting, the commission percentage is going up when we think it's done.
Why do you think that is?
Um,
I have my ideas on why that is, but
Well, a huge piece of it, I'll say, is that, like, you saw it in Feud, I always think this, MLS just, that $3.4 million deal, she hogged that, but didn't wrap both sides, so there's only one volume on there. There's two.
yeah,
chunk.
yeah, yep.
So in the same number of transactions, essentially, you have 12 more listings selling in that group, selling at 3.3 rather than,
Or whatever the percentage might be
I was gonna say that around the 5 side,
versus
but sure.
potentially 2.7, if it would be that.
You can say whatever you want to know, brokerage.
I don't know, everything's recorded these days. I don't want to say anything. So yeah, I mean, depending on what you're taking and what we're closing more of, that chunk is a lot, right? I would say, in light of everything, people are a little more protective about what their commission is and where it's going, right? I think that as agents, we got very lackadaisical on being like, oh, 5% is fine, 4% is fine. Oh, it's okay, right? Now, when it's getting questioned and you don't know what the future has in store, are we reflecting on what our value actually is and why we should be getting paid what we get paid, whatever that amount is?
You know,
I mean, I'm getting a lot more questions around it from a lot of people in the market center.
you know what I'm pretty excited about actually, with this Matt and I were talking, Brady and I were talking this morning, is I'm pretty excited for people who work with buyers that they get to set their value and not be prescribed by someone else on the internet, right? So we have people in this market center that take a range of commissions, right? Some people, when they list, are at 6, some people are at 8, right? Some people on the listing
And yes,
side,
that's actually true. People do take.
on the listing side, some people are making 4% every time they sell a listing. Others of you are making 2-something% every time a listing. The great thing is, you can, the same way you're doing that with a listing, if you get good on the buy side of having that conversation with your clients, you actually have an opportunity to not get paid by default, but to go, look, it costs 3% to work with me. And 3%, I can get paid different ways, but that's what you ultimately are responsible. This are the different ways I can get paid for that. And if we understand the same way that people walk in with, and some of us listing a house go, okay, I'll reduce my commission, and others go, no, my commission's 8%. We now get to do that on the buy side as well. And we just have to be confident and be able to explain why the value is there in order then to go to that seller and negotiate how we're getting paid in the offer.
And you get the choice as an agent, to say, this is someone I want to work with or not, right? It's like anything. You could go to a hotel. I just went to Chicago, so I'm gonna explain this. And you could have a Holiday Inn Express, or you could have a Marriott, right? This has a free breakfast of whatever it is, who knows? This one might not, but it has a really nice bed and a really great place to take a shower. It has other amenities like a workout space. This is where I want to stay. Why? Because I'm not eating that free breakfast anyways. But what I do want is a workout facility. I want a great place to sleep. And I want to know that everything is completely clean. And if I need something, someone will be there immediately for me. If I actually want to have room service, I can have that. I'm willing to pay more for that, right? Because I know what I want. So when you're an agent, find the people you want to work with too. I think we are at the beck and call of, oh my gosh, I finally set an appointment and I need this client. That's on you. You want to know why it's on you? Because you aren't calling enough people and connecting and making enough relationships. Because at some point in time, you're going to realize you don't have to take every single one of those clients. You don't. You can pick and choose who you work with and what your value is. And that's a really awesome place to be. Do you guys agree? Because I don't know, every time I've ever taken my commission down, it has been a nightmare of a client. And what do they guarantee you? Don't worry, I'm super easy. I just don't want to pay more than 5%. Okay. Like, red flag, it's like flying in your face, right? Because when you really think about it, has anybody ever done an hourly rate of what they made on a client? Has anyone ever done that?
Yeah,
Okay, where does it end up being hourly?
a lot more than I think.
Okay, that's awesome. And I mean, do you really, like, every time they text and every time they call and every time you're thinking about it because you know that email's coming in, mentally, like, you're still working on that? Like, have you really figured it out? Because I guarantee some of them are not as much as what you think. And then you didn't even add in the gas or the coffee that you bought them every single time they wanted to have coffee before they decided to work with you. Or the lunches or the dinner. Like, really think about what you're doing and run your business like a business. Because that's a lot of commission. And then added 1.6 and 1.6 the day, like the month before. That's a lot. People are making a good amount of money. Get your fair share. Okay, I'm gonna put this out here. Who thinks we can break an all-time record of GCI by the end of the year?
What is that? I don't know what the
Well,
all.
right now it's 1.7.
Oh, is it one? Okay.
Where are we at for the year? Is that what you're asking?
No, I
Per
mean,
month?
like,
Break one.
yeah, I'm more like 2.0.
Love that.
Like, who wants to do that by January? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Do you want? How many people were producing last month? What was the percentage, Heather?
Of the agents producing?
Yeah, what was the cover sheet?
It was lower. It was only like 44% of the agents were in production last month.
Okay, so I can guarantee if we get that above 50, we can hit that number of 2.0 for GCI. That's 50% of our agents doing a deal in a month. Do you believe we can do that?
Yeah.
If you're producing right now, would you be willing to help an agent that is not producing lead generate and get a deal under contract? Raise your hand. Is that a new goal? Because I remember the goal being in like January to have those numbers positive, and it took 3 months. Right? Maybe we think of something fun when we hit that number. I'll get back to you on that next week.
There's something about what you focus on
Expands. That's actually a bold law
right there.
in there somewhere over here by John.
That's kite.
All right. That took longer than I thought, but it was exciting numbers, right?
Super exciting.
Would you rather go through numbers, or would you rather go through, we don't have a lot of time for contracts. Okay, do you want to talk about that real quick then, Kevin?
Sure,
Okay,
yeah. However, I'd have to say one thing. I'm about 60,000 GCI below goal where I want to be right now for the year. So I'm about 90 grand for the year. My goal was 300,000. I adjusted my goal. My goal's probably I'm committed to hitting at least 200. So it's another 150 closing GCI by the end of the year. I had to say that because we almost backed out last time. So there's our goal.
so I'm gonna be really, really transparent, and I didn't ask them necessarily for permission, well, I kind of did last week. We talk a lot about the ALC coming up here and talking about numbers, right? And there's been things that have come in the way of having our ALC meetings. Whether or not it's different number or different numbers meetings or whatnot. But these 3 agents are agents that have been in the business either quite a few years or even, I would say, fresher to the business, right? There's a lot of hesitation in regards to coming up here and saying, man, my numbers are still down. Right? That's not a very fun place to be personally, let alone sitting up here and saying that. So I just want you guys to be really aware on how much courage it takes to come up here and say, hey, I want to be on the ALC and my whole business is going to be open to people, whether or not it's good or bad. Because I also gives the people sitting out here the perspective that not everything is always roses and sunshine, no matter how long you've been in the business, because life comes up or struggles come up or challenges come up. So when you see these 3, tell them thank you, because this was not, we actually. He said that's okay. But there was hesitation. They're like, why don't we just skip the meeting? And I said, hey, you know what? It's up to you. But can I push you to go up there and explain where you might be at your business? Because it might help someone else realize that, you know what? They're not tracking. They're not tracking on their business right now for various reasons. So we're going to do that now. Because Kevin opened that up, and we're going to talk about contracts at a different time.
Okay, so this year I plan to do 33% more than I did last year. I figured I didn't do as much lead generation as I could have, and so why not push myself a little bit more to keep on, or to expand my business. And I am not tracking with the amount of units I did last year. So way under goal for this year. GCI, I'm about $40,000 short of what I did last year, so I'm at a comfortable spot, and I think that's probably why there's a lack of motivation, but it's certainly not what I set out to do this year.
Which is a really good point, because we talk a lot about this volume, right? And GCI, it's like, I think, like, units wise, you're down, right? And that's why we want to focus on units, right? Is because if you were on pace, you would have crushed the GCI goal. I mean, crushed it so far, right? So when you're making a goal, and we talked about this, is the goal important and why, right? Because right now, you even said, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable where I'm living and what I'm making, that I don't know if the units goal is really what was important to you. Or why, like what's attached to that, or what's attached to crushing the GCI goal. Which I think happens with a lot of people, right? Like if you're comfortable, it's easy to be comfortable.
And I don't even think there was anything important about the units goal. It was, oh, I could put in just a little bit more effort and easily make this goal. And there's no more effort,
Which also you don't feel good about it either,
Right,
because
right.
it's still your goal and you're like, why? So we've talked a lot about like, why is that the goal? Should it still be the goal as we're mid-year? And if not, how do we shift that?
Right.
Okay,
I am at 253 pended and closed GCI for the year, which is 63% of my $400,000 goal. It's on 15 transactions, which is about, well, it isn't. To be on pace, I should be at 20 transactions for the year. Certainly my business has been like buoyed by a couple big transactions, and I guess I'm grateful for that. And with listings I've got in the pipeline, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm confident in where I am.
We're 199 days into the year, so at 65%, you're hitting goal, right? Volume, you're hitting goal.
I guess I didn't know we were 199 days.
I evaluated all my goals.
so as I'm like, you put over numbers, Kevin's like, oh, okay.
Can I read something?
Yeah.
On this other spot?
Can we give them a round of applause?
You know, we've been daring greatly, right? And one of the things is, that she talks about, Brene Brown talks about, she uses, it might have been Roosevelt or something, about the courage it takes to simply get in the arena, right? The bystanders can watch, but it takes courage to step into the arena. And this is what, she writes on page 185. The arena, particularly during dark and hard moments when we're trying to be really brave, can be confusing and overwhelming. Distraction, noise, and rapidly blinking exit signs that promise immediate relief from the discomfort. The cynics in the stands, and in those tough matches, when the critics are being extra loud and rowdy, it's easy to start hustling, to try to prove, perfect, perform, and please. God knows these things are my big P's. We can either hustle to show the crowd that we deserve to be there, or we can let them scare us off. Either way, it's easy to let them get in your head and hijack your effort. And I think, then I'll just go. In these moments, when we start putting other voices in front of our own, we forget what made us go into the arena in the first place. The reason we're there, we forget our values, or frequently we don't even know why or what they are or how to name them. If we do not have clarity of values, if we do not have anywhere else to look to or focus, if we don't have that light above to remind us why we're there, the cynics and critics can bring us to our knees. And sometimes we're our biggest critic, right? But I think that the spot of, and I did the same thing, Jelena, of, okay, I've done this before. You know what's really ridiculous is in 1 month, I've had larger GCI than I've had all year. That's crazy, right? So it's not an ability thing. It's a moment in action or whatever. And we start to go, okay.
Can we not minimize that? Like it actually is an action thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's an action thing. It's not an ability thing. It's an action thing. And I was thinking about, in those times, those things, unless we know why we stepped into that arena, which is that big why, or to start going up, what is that value that remember we all put values at our top of the goal? What are the things that we want? So I just wrote down mine. I said, my mission statement was to love God, love people. But my marriage is in a great spot. My time with my dad this year has taken incredible leaps and bounds. But I've been asked to perform 2 weddings this year, and I've had tons of moments with people just sitting down and like living out life with them. And they haven't resulted in a transaction, but those are the things that are important to me. And now I gotta go, what supports that, right? So that I get discouraged. discouraged on this, I can go, yeah, this is what's happening. This is why I'm in the arena. This is what I want. Now I gotta adjust and make sure that my numbers hit so that I can continue to do this. And I thought, that's the combination of, okay, let's look at our goals, and this book was good. I spent a lot of time before this meeting figuring this thing
So-
out.
I think that's interesting because I was invited to a particular event last week for a particular brokerage that I am not at. And from the outside, there are really big things happening, right? And I go to these things because I want to have perspective on everything. I want to have perspective on competition. I want to have perspective on new ways to do things. And in that meeting, I met with the #1 agent from that particular company. And I was less than impressed with everything. The questions that that person asked me were shallow. I'm not gonna say where I was at. And then I asked that person questions that I would ask any of you, right? Just normal questions that I asked. And there were no answers that he had. And the whole time, he was looking around the room who the next person he could talk to was. And in that moment, it made me realize, I don't care who you are, what you have. We were in a conversation, and the person that I am, of course, I called him out on that. Right?
No.
And I said, did you even hear what I just said at all? Right? And he was bashing this company because he used to be at it. And I said, I am so glad that I came to this event. I actually called Heather afterward. I said, I'm so glad that I came to this event because it makes me realize what I don't want to be. Through and through. I don't care if you have a ton of money. And then I ask you, how was the event? Oh, tell me a little bit more about that party that you guys said was so awesome. It was like, it was just awesome. It was a club party. I said, well, what was awesome about it? It was just awesome. Here, let me show you video. You look insane. Okay. That is not moving your business. Like, it's just interesting, right? Where we watch people and we think that that's success. And this is not the conversation that any of them are having. And it's so much more than being the #1 at a company and having 0 debt in your life. I would take all of us over the life that that particular person has. And hopefully someday he figures it out, right? But we're really lucky to be where we're at. And if you ever doubt that, don't be afraid to come talk to me about it. Don't just fail. Come talk to me about it. Right? Because we all have room for growth and we all have a chance to change. And maybe there's things that we as an office aren't providing, right? That doesn't mean that we can't provide it, right? But we don't know if we don't ask. But what else is out there isn't as awesome as what you think. All right, wants and needs. Send them to Lydia. Okay.
Can you
answer?
spin the wheel?
It is spin the wheel. Contracts are next time,
If you stick around at 12:15, I'll go through the contracts with you. If you're just curious.
if you're just curious.
Yeah, these are new contracts.
I am
Yeah.
curious, I can't stay with it again.
Yeah, we're gonna do it
We're
next
gonna
week.
do 'em- we're gonna do them multiple times,
Okay.
so, and you
So-
could probably see it multiple times, so still stick around, because I can tell you that people still don't know contracts that have been in place for years. So, come as many times as you want to that. If your name is on this list, come up here for spin the wheel, and you can win some cash.
And at 12:30, we'll be done. Like, it's 15 minutes. We're just gonna go through